Hey there, I'm SpiritFire, and for the past few weeks, I've been conducting an experiment. Let me explain. So a few weeks ago, I saw a post on Reddit talking about how dislikes on your YouTube video don't actually count against you, and in fact, it boosts your engagement. Now, I'd always thought that YouTube dislikes completely stopped the video from getting more views and worked against you, so I wanted to test it out. First off, I had to choose a target for this experiment, so I brainstormed who I could target this experiment at. At first I thought politics, and I could spew some random and obviously untrue things, but then I realized it's a horrible idea, and would probably get me burned at the stake. I needed something where people outside of that community didn't really care what was going on in it. I decided it would probably be best to choose from a gaming community. Plus, that's also what I'm known for. I decided for this to work, I also needed a decently toxic community who fall for rage bait easily, have vastly differing opinions, and have opinions that no one outside of the community would give a shit about. I then realized what community this experiment would be perfect for. It had been in front of my eyes the whole time, and it hadn't even occurred to me. The Overwatch community. A community toxic enough to fall for rage bait, as well as get into arguments with people for the smallest of opinions, as well as being a community regarded as a joke by the rest of the internet, including me, because if I'm being honest, I could give lists of shit about what an Overwatch player thinks of me. It worked out pretty well too, as I play Overwatch regularly with friends, and so I decided to record some clips while we play. I also had an idea. You see, in Overwatch there are 3 roles: tank, DPS, and support. In Overwatch 1, tanks were always blamed by the community and shit on. If you die, it's your tank's fault. If you lose the game, it's your tank's fault. If your whole family dies in a freak accident, it's your tank's fault. You get the point. Meanwhile, support players were babied by the community, seen as the most difficult to play role, or seen as poor souls forced to play support. And these sentiments have mostly carried over to Overwatch 2, and people will defend support players with their life. How do I know this? It's simple. It's because I main support. Well, I also main DPS, but that's besides the point. Anyways, the point is, if I play tank, a role I normally don't play, so my gameplay is guaranteed to not be perfect, meanwhile trash talking my support, it'll rile up the community and cause them to take up arms against the big bad tank player. I know what you're gonna say. But Spirit, the community have started to wise up and realize that supports are the strongest role in Overwatch 2. And yes, while many argue supports are busted, others say otherwise. So much so, it's basically become a split issue, which I'd hope would play in my favor. Now onto the experiment itself. I decided I would try this out on my second channel. Why? There were a few reasons. One reason was because I had started constantly uploading videos onto my second channel that were only slightly edited, because if I edited them with subtitles and everything, it would be on my main channel and it would probably not see the light of day. So I could upload multiple Overwatch videos onto my second channel in quick succession. Another reason was because my view count on that channel wasn't that high, and so it would be a good benchmark to see how the Overwatch videos perform. The only caveat to that was that I posted some Titanfall 2 videos around its anniversary that did do good and amassed around 1,000 views. However, we are just going to consider that an outlier in the experiment and sort of ignore it, so as obviously uploading a video about a game around its anniversary would get you a boost in views. And my final reason is because if dislikes do negatively affect my channel in some way, only my second channel would take the hit while my main channel would be intact. Moving on, the plan is to upload 4 videos. 2 Overwatch Rage Bait videos, 1 normal non-Rage Bait Overwatch video, and 1 non-Rage Bait and also non-Overwatch video. The reason for the 2 Overwatch Rage Bait videos is that if the first one gets a lot of views, it might just be a one-off thing. So just to make sure it's not a fluke, I'll upload a second one, and in the second, I can try a new tactics to Rage Bait. The reason for the non-Rage Bait Overwatch video is to test out if the views from the Rage Bait transfer over, and also to test if the non-Rage Bait does significantly worse than the Rage Bait. Finally, the non-Rage Bait and non-Overwatch video is to test out whether views transfer over from Overwatch to other games. I posted the first video titled Average Overwatch 2 Support Player in 2023 on November 11th, 2023. Now the day and day after, it got barely any views, which I expected, as usually it starts off slow and after a few days I usually end up with 50 views or so on like a second channel. So on the second day when I got 14 views, I wasn't that surprised. That was until I woke up the next day and saw that it had gotten 200 views, and then the next day it went up to 700 and eventually 900. That's not all. There were a ton of comments too, 20 of them to be precise, and if you look at the channel, no other video before this has gotten that many comments. However, if you think the comments were positive, let me show you the like to dislike ratio. As of writing the script and making this video, the first video currently sits at 13 likes to 20 dislikes. Honestly, not too bad of a ratio all things considered, but I digress. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of things. I'm going to show you the average watch time for 3 of my videos, including this one. First, we have one of my less reviewed videos, and that was mainly just a news story, and as you can see, its view duration was around 1 minute and 25 seconds. Next, we have one of my videos that did really well, amassing over 1,000 views, and it was just a Titanfall 2 video around the time of its anniversary, and its average view duration is 1 minute and 8 seconds. Finally, let's take a look at the Overwatch video I uploaded, and as you can see, the average view duration is 3 minutes and 3 seconds, triple of what I usually get. The watch time for my Overwatch video in hours is also significantly higher than the other videos, with it sitting at 50.7 hours, meanwhile the other two sit around 19.1 and 0.9 respectively. The impressions also show the same thing, with my Overwatch video sitting at around 23,000 impressions, while the other videos only reach 14,000 and 3,000. It's also not like I haven't been gaining subscribers from the videos too, as I gained 2 subscribers from the video. Now let's get back to those 20 comments I was talking about, and let me start by reading some of them off. If you feel your supports are underperforming, you should probably tell them in voice chat to heal you, /enemy supports rather than say nothing, and wait till the very end of the game here. This is a little bit of a discussion. If you feel your supports are complaining about, you should probably just use voice chat to heal you, /swap rather than kill yourself. Whoops, that last one is my diary, sorry. Anyways, let's look at some of these comments, which most of them I am actually seeing for the first time, so if you don't want to watch me read out some of these comments and just want to get to the next part of the experiment, I'll leave a timestamp here for you. If you feel your supports are underperforming, you should probably tell them in voice chat to heal you /swap supports rather than say nothing, and wait till the very end of the game and say support diff. Bro doesn't communicate or appeal for their supports, why are healers so bad? That enemy healing pylon lasted absolute generations. This annoyed me, totally ignoring the pylon in their face while complaining about the enemy supports are much better. That's a total L for them. LMAO, I know, right? I keep thinning. I think he meant thinking. Surely he'll focus it now, and nope. So as we can see here, there's a little bit of a discussion going on. This is what I wanted to happen because it just means more engagement, and in the second experiment, I actually try to force out a discussion using rage bait to see if it works, but anyways, let's get back to the comments. Homie, you need to position yourself better if you want heals. Trying to 1v5 the enemy team is why you keep dying. Props to this one for being somewhat respectful. It's wild how you never destroy Illari pylons in plain view and wonder why they're being healed so much. Just based off that, you can't and shouldn't blame your support. LMAO, I was also thinking that. What's interesting about this one is that the first commenter on the video actually came back to reply to some of the comments, which I did not expect, and also try to emulate with the second experiment. I would have said this was a plat game after the defense hold, but feeding like 5 times after the first point offense really solidified this as a gold or lower type game. If these guys were playing, it looks bronze. I would be shocked if it wasn't. I'm a gold tank if anyone was curious, but during the recordings of these videos, I was silver 1 mainly because whenever I play a tank, I never take it too seriously because I hate playing tank. Shout out to anyone who plays tank. Your sacrifices are never commented on, but you have my utmost respect. It takes less than 2 seconds to kill a heal pylon, by the way, LMAO. Bro uses all cooldowns and stands in the open field. What are supports doing? Then proceeds to only damage D.Va because it's easier to hit when the squishies were 2 meters away from her. I love how he posts to flame supports but then just outs himself as a terrible tank. This isn't a real game, that's probably what your supports are saying. Well, at least this dude fell for it and didn't call me out for the obvious rage bait. I'm not reading this one because it's too long, feel free to pause it and read it. Being a support is rough right now. They completely nerfed healing output, and unless my team is feeding, my heal output relatively looks lower than before. You must have not actually watched the footage back before you posted this. Did you expect people to agree with you? Gotta love Overwatch players who expect supports to constantly bail them out of their own bad positioning / gameplay. You'd probably get better at the game if you guys put all the energy you use blaming other people for your losses into some self-reflection. I'm sure this guy would be delighted to hear that no, I did not expect people to agree with me. Some constructive criticism, Zarya can bubble teammates instead of only yourself. Also, there are 4 other characters to shoot at other than the D.Va, who just gets pulled every time you waste all your resources trying to ego them. Something I noticed with groups ever since playing Overwatch 1 is they never blame who's in their group. To be honest, your DPS sucks and your tanking isn't great either. You suck, get better. I hate when bad players throw and complain about their teams. In all, we got 20 comments on this video, including replies to many comments. That's awesome because comments are extremely helpful in boosting engagement, and so knowing that a video like this got a reaction like this will be helpful for the next experiment. So if you hadn't noticed, I didn't respond to any of the comments in the initial video. My thought process was if I didn't respond, it would only make them angrier. For the second video, I actually had two tactics I want to try out. One was sent to me by my good friend Obsidian Sheep, who told me to test this out for the second experiment, and it's a YouTube short by a YouTuber called Pirate Software, who, interestingly enough, also claims that dislikes do not count against you, and just adds to the engagement, and his tactic was to delete a negative and obnoxious comment, as a response by the viewer would be to comment, "This guy deletes comments," adding to the engagement, so that was one new tactic I wanted to try out for the second video.
The thing is it all runs by engagement. So I'll give you an example of this, right? I have a short that a lot of people put negative comments on it. A downvote or an upvote both count as engagement. So here's what I do. When someone leaves an overbearingly outrageous, obnoxious comment, there's two things that I'll do with this. Either I'll correct them, because they might just be wrong, or I delete the negative comment. Do you know why I delete the negative comment? Because then they come back and they go, "This guy deletes comments." I farm you twice. Double engagement.
The other tactic I want to try was responding to a singular comment. Why a singular comment? Because I thought if people who commented saw I commented under someone else, they would all flood into that one comment section and have a discussion, hopefully boosting my engagement. So let's see how my second video did. My second video, titled "I Found the Worst Kiriko in Overwatch 2, was uploaded the next week from the first one on November 18th of 2023, and similar to the previous video, for the first 2 days it didn't do that well, but then the views started soaring. The video had gotten around 1,100 views, which is 100 more than the previous one, which I did not expect. The video, as of writing the script, currently has 22 comments, not including the one I deleted, with a like ratio of 14 likes to 25 dislikes. A decent increase of dislikes compared to the last video. As for average view duration, it was 2 minutes and 39 seconds, which, although not as good as the first video, is still double of my previous videos on the second channel. The watch time in hours comes out to 48.8, which, like the last video, is 5 times the watch time normally. Impressions were also around the same, totaling around 22,000. Finally, I gained 1 subscriber. Again, I'm going to read some of the comments, and again, I will leave a timestamp here if you want to skip to the next part of the experiment. First of all, the deleted comment. Sadly, the commenter never commented back after I deleted it, so I don't think it worked that well. What about the one comment I replied to? I actually have an image saved with times on it. Alternate title, "I belong in silver but won't recognize it." Keep complaining, but it's not like you really did anything that game. Skull emoji. Maybe try playing with your team and you won't die without supports. Didn't ask. I chose this comment for one simple reason. The guy seemed like the type of guy who would get pissed enough to care and comment back. And I was right. 45 minutes after he posted that comment, I replied to him saying, "Didn't ask," and 15 minutes later, he commented back. At SpiritFireMedia, okay, Silver Tank, nerd emoji. I was right. This dude was your average Twitter user who puts nerd emojis after every sentence because they can't make a comeback. The skull emoji was a dead giveaway. Now, did this chain create a discussion? No, which is why I replied yet again to see if he would respond back. He put the nerd emoji, it's over, I'm defeated. Sadly, he didn't, but someone else did. At SpiritFireMedia, rank check. So it kinda worked. It didn't create a whole discussion like I was hoping, but I certainly got him and some other person to respond back. Let's take a look at some of the other comments. "I found the worst support, proceeds to play very averagely and complain about the team. You're running Czar Junk Soldier on circuit. I think review what you do before criticizing." Before watching the video, I agree. 100%. Dude is a silver tank as well. Homies also just yapping and complaining when they're all kinda bad. I mean, their support was bad, but like they also have a mountain of things they're doing wrong. I coach and play in T500 teams, and I could spend 4 hours going over what these guys did wrong. Like, it's too much yapping. Yeah, it's like, if they were better, they would have won. Now, what's interesting is that this comment actually did create a discussion, and it created a discussion naturally without me having to reply with any of them. This was my intended result with the above example in the reply, but I guess for some reason or another, it didn't work. I also find it funny how this guy later admits that the support were in fact bad. Bro, you always abandon your team when someone is ulting. When Junkrat first uses ult, you never bother to turn around and bubble anyone. When the enemy diva used their ult, you didn't even try to body block it from your team with your mech. What's the point in being a tank if you do not mitigate damage? Not the Kiriko, bro. You stink. Didn't read this before, not gonna read it now. Feel free to pause the video. Nice big bowl of copium for breakfast. Yum! Whenever you complain about your teammates underperforming, especially supports in the backline when you're on tank, you should watch from their POV after the match to see what was going on and how you could have altered your playstyle to help them. It looks like your teammates were being dove and ulted repeatedly. You were too tunnel focused on the enemy tank to help. Fair enough. Not sure why you would rather spend your entire game bitching, because I find bitching fun. Wow, this backfired. Yo, wanna play? I'm in gold. Plat players. Oh wait, shit, hold on. Plat players. And the final comment by this guy named Humongous, who had replied to one of the previous comments. Now, usually I would have ignored this comment and just told you all to pause and read because of how long it is, but I figured that out of all the long comments, this one was the longest, so might as well read it. So I read it before making the script, and I thought it was not only respectful, but insightful and helpful, and I think this is the only comment to do that. I'm not going to read the whole thing out loud, as no offense, but I think it would extend the video by way more than it needs to be. I'll do a bit of TLDR, but basically the dude says to not look at the commenters as know-it-alls, which, I'll be honest, I don't. Most of the people who comment on the videos were valid with their criticisms, and I only looked at the ones who were more disrespectful as know-it-all dipshits. But yeah, if any of you think I took any offense to the comments made in this video, again, I don't really care. It's Overwatch, it's just a game, and I'm a content creator trying to have fun and upload some content, so I can take criticism no matter how it's worded. But yeah, continuing with the TLDR, he goes on to give some tips on how to play better as a tank and even cites specific instances in a match where I could have done something differently. He's also unlike most Overwatch players, as he advocates for being polite to other people? But yeah, I really respect that, and he says he loves that people in lower rank makes content, and no, he didn't mean that in like a sarcastic way, he genuinely liked it. And I was actually kind of touched by this whole comment and really wanted to blurt out then and there that it was all just an experiment and to thank him for being respectful, but I knew that would have ruined the point of this video, so unfortunately I had to not respond. But something does happen with him later in the video, so keep watching if you want to see that. Overall, this video somehow did better than the previous video in terms of views, but not in terms of watch time. It seemed to me that rage bait is a perfectly viable method to make content on YouTube. To confirm this, however, we still have 2 more videos left. The next video we're going to look at is the non-Rage Bait Overwatch video, which I titled The Closest Games of Overwatch 2 I've Ever Played, and was uploaded on November 22nd, 2023. The video currently sits at 594 views, 2 comments, 6 likes, and 2 dislikes. The average view time is 2 minutes and 18 seconds. The watch time in hours is 22.8, the impressions are 20.6 thousand, and I gained 1 subscriber. What's interesting about this is that while the views, likes, dislikes, and comments have a significant drop off compared to the last 2 videos, the average view times and impressions are a lot higher than previous videos on my channel, even if they are less than the 2 Rage Bait videos. One of the main reasons I think this is the case is simply due to the titles, which the Rage Bait titles giving viewers more of a reason to click to see the worst Kiriko or how an average support in 2023 might play. They're also exaggerated titles that make you want to see what it's all about. And it's also negative, and as we all know, negativity is viewed by more people than positivity. And that's probably why, even though I made the claim in this video that these are the closest games I've ever played, it didn't really strike a chord with anyone. But let's see if anyone from the previous videos actually returned. If we check the unique viewers, we see that 550 of them are unique, and if we do some quick math, 594 minus 550 equals 44. So 44 of those viewers most likely returned from the previous 2 videos. That would also explain the 2 dislikes, as those dislikes appeared pretty quickly after posting the video. But one of the most compelling arguments are the comments, so let's check it out. And I'm sorry to disappoint you guys, but we only have 1 comment to review, but I will say I was hoping this commenter would comment again on this video. It's our boy Humongous, who basically, being the kind soul he is, comments how this tank gameplay is better, probably because it isn't designed as Rage Bait gameplay, and even gives tips for specific instances where I made a mistake, all of which I've taken into account for any future tank gameplay I do. At this point, I really wanted to tell him the truth, so I asked him if he had Discord. He said yes, and I was able to message him. Available in 10 minutes, smiley face. In the meantime, can you tell something about your group, preferred names, pronouns, etc.? No, I'm not looking for a VOD review. I just wanted to thank you for being so cordial and respectful. I'm actually doing an experiment regarding YouTube and if dislikes truly affect it. So I released 2 videos that were kind of designed to piss people off, and one, the one I uploaded recently, that was just an average Overwatch video to see if dislikes increase engagement and rage baiting is a viable strategy. In reality, I'm a DPS and support main, and I thought my mediocre tank gameplay would just be the best use for this experiment. Okay, yes, I had some suspicion because I watched your video about streamers being hypocritical, and there you totally made sense in all your points, and I agree 100%. Well, if you change your mind, I can jump in our games as support and do some shot calling and corrections. I see a lot of potential for getting to plat within the week. I can also just spectate live via Discord. Could lead to some fun times and good content. I don't make content, surprisingly enough. Would be down at some point. Basically, I admitted to him that it was all just an experiment, and we talked a little bit afterwards, and it was a really pleasant chat. When I asked him if he had any socials that he wanted to shout out, he said he didn't have any. Overall, even though the third video did worse, it still did pretty good, garnering almost around 600 views, which is a lot for my second channel. Finally, the non-rage bait, but also non-Overwatch video. Let's see how it did. Okay, so I'm not even going to go over this one in depth. You can already see it didn't do as well as the others. I will say, however, it did have an average view duration of 2 minutes and 34 seconds, which surprised me. But I have a few ideas why this video got such a low view count. It could have been the title, which is very generic. It could have been the algorithm getting confused, as I'd uploaded 3 Overwatch videos in the past 3 weeks, so the Lethal Company video could have thrown it off. Or it could have been the view count was already declining and now it's back to its pre-rage bait view count. So, are dislikes and more importantly, rage bait good for you? Kinda. It's good for getting views and interaction, along with a few subscribers and maybe a small boost to your channel, but I don't think it's going to convert into long-term success, and people will most likely only come back to shit on you. Obviously, the results will vary for everyone, and for some people, who knows, they might actually be able to turn this into success. Am I still going to rage bait? Fuck yeah. My second channel hasn't gotten this much interaction since Titanfall 2, and there aren't really any downsides. Hopefully people won't see this video on my channel and realize it is rage bait, but yeah, I'm still gonna do it, because why not? But yeah, thank you all for joining me in this experiment. Please don't harass anyone in this video. Remember, it was all just for fun, and I don't really take any offense to any of the comments, and if you decide to try out rage baiting, let me know how it goes. Other than that, thank you all for watching. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and this is SpiritFire, signing out.